This video is about every Rams quarterback who started a game for them in the 1970s. Where did they come from? How did they do? When and how did they leave their starting gig? Gabriel started 14 games in 1970 for the Rams. In 1969, he was the NFL's most valuable player. Big and strong, he was difficult to sack and was a highly effective running quarterback. After his senior year at North Carolina State, he was the first overall draft pick in the AFL by the Raiders and the second overall draft pick in the NFL by the Rams in 1962. He signed with the Rams. During the 1969 MVP season, he tossed 24 touchdowns with only 7 interceptions, but he'd take a step back in 1970. First game of the 1970 season for the Rams was played on a Friday night with an 8 p.m. kickoff time in Los Angeles. 1970 was the year that the white stripes on the football were broken. The stripes did not go around the entire ball. Quarterbacks had complained that when the ball got wet, the stripes made the ball more slippery. These white striped balls were only used for night games. Gabriel's favorite receiver in 1970 was Jack Snow, who caught 51 balls for 869 yards and 7 touchdowns. Gabriel had a good year in 1970 by throwing 16 touchdowns, tied for 6th best in the NFL, and 2,552 yards, which was 4th best in the NFL. But the Rams did not make the playoffs despite their 9-win, 4-loss, and 1-tie record. In 1971, Gabriel had another fine season, as he started all 14 games, but the Rams' 8-win, 5-loss, 1-tie record again left them out of the playoffs. The Rams had 8 starting quarterbacks in the 1970s, and they made the playoffs 7 times. I think that's a lot of quarterback turnover for a team that went to the playoffs every year from 1973 through 1979. Let's take a good look at what happened. What happened to the Rams in 1972 was a slow start from which they did not recover. They had 1 win and 5 losses during the preseason and 6 wins, 6 losses in the 12 games that Gabriel started. His 90-game consecutive starting streak came to an end in 1972 after knee and shoulder injuries took their toll. His statistics plummeted. After not making a Pro Bowl team since 1969 and not leading the Rams to the playoffs since then, Gabriel threatened to accept a $100,000 contract with the Las Vegas Casinos of the Southwestern Football League in April 1973. The Rams traded him to the Eagles for a huge haul. Pete Beathard was the co-player of the game in the 1963 Rose Bowl that USC won. He was drafted second overall in the 1964 AFL draft and fifth overall in the 1964 NFL draft. He signed with the Chiefs, bounced around both leagues, then landed with the Rams in 1972 when he started 2 games, losing one and tying the other. In Week 2 against the Bears, he was 6 of 12 for 46 yards and 1 interception. In Week 3 against the Falcons, he was 5 of 14 for 93 yards and 4 interceptions. Now that's brutal. The Rams needed a new quarterback, so they traded Pro Bowl defensive end Coy Bacon and running back Bob Thomas for 5-time Pro Bowl quarterback John Hadl of the Chargers. Hadl didn't disappoint the Rams as he made first-team All-Pro, was named the NFC Player of the Year, and was second in the NFL MVP voting on the basis of 22 touchdown passes, only 11 interceptions, and 2,008 passing yards. In 14 games started, he directed the Rams into the playoffs with a 12-2 record. They lost in the first round of the playoffs to the Cowboys by a score of 27-16. Rams head coach Chuck Knox was all business heading into Week 1 at Denver. Hadl was hit and miss in 1975 for the Rams. After Week 5, the Rams traded Hadl for a truckload of high draft picks. The Packers were desperate for a quality quarterback, and the Rams hit the jackpot by trading Hadl, who seemingly lost it overnight. Enter James Shaq Harris, who started the remaining 9 regular season games, winning 7 and losing 2. James Harris had a nice touch on his passes, and he was very accurate. He ranked 4th in passer rating in the NFL for 1974. His spur-of-the-moment scrambling was particularly effective, and he was a big quarterback for his era at 6'4", 210 pounds. He rushed for 5 touchdowns in 1974. His 11 touchdown passes and only 6 interceptions was good enough to get him into the Pro Bowl game. But the Rams lost the NFC Championship game to the Vikings in Minnesota 14-10. James Harris faltered in 1975 in terms of personal statistics, yet in his 13 starts, the Rams won 11 games and lost 2. In Week 13, Jaworski relieved James Harris, who had a sore shoulder. Number 75, Dave Purifoy, gave Jaworski one too. In Week 14, Ron Jaworski started in place of James Harris due to Harris's ailing right shoulder. A 1974 second-round draft pick out of Youngstown State, he was nicknamed the Polish Rifle due to his extremely strong arm. He was the starting quarterback in the Rams' 35-23 playoff win against the Cardinals, as well as the 37-7 trouncing they received at the hands of the Cowboys the following week, when he was intercepted twice and sacked 5 times. Rams quarterback situation was a mess in 1976. Jaworski was the starter in Week 1, but Pat Hayden took over when Jaworski was injured on a quarterback sneak. Hayden was the starter in Week 2, but then Harris was the starter in Week 3, and so it went all year long. Pat Hayden was drafted in the 7th round of the 1975 draft out of USC. He spurned the Rams to play for the World Football League's Southern California Sun, who allowed him to attend Oxford University in England with his Rhodes Scholarship. The league folded and he played with the Rams. The Rams finished with 10 wins, 3 losses, and 1 tie, and Hayden was named the starting quarterback against the Cowboys. A game won by the Rams 14-12, despite Hayden being intercepted 3 times and sacked 3 times. The Rams stuck with him the following week against the Vikings in the playoffs, and he had a dismal showing by completing 9 of 22 passes for 143 yards, 1 interception, and 4 sacks. It was time to clean house. Ron Jaworski and James Harris were both traded in 1977 to make room for the new starting quarterback, Broadway Joe Namath. Joe Namath was stuck in the mud in New York with a 3-win, 11-loss team in 1976. When a trade couldn't be made to get him out of town, he was released and he signed with the Rams in hopes of returning to his former glory. 4 starts, he had a 2-2 record with only 3 touchdown passes and 5 interceptions. The Rams pulled the plug on him, and he did not play anymore for the remainder of the year, retiring at the end of it. Pat Hayden took over and started for the rest of the year, winning 8 games and losing 2. He was more of a caretaker of the offense than anything else, only passing for 11 touchdowns with 6 interceptions. The Rams preferred to run the ball with their fine stable of running backs and talented offensive line. 1979, it became abundantly clear that Pat Hayden was not going to become the franchise quarterback that they had been seeking. They gave Vince Ferragamo an extended test drive, but he didn't look to be the answer. So they checked out Jeff Rutledge, their rookie quarterback. No luck there either. Vince Ferragamo was at the controls versus the Cowboys in the divisional playoff game that the Rams won 21-19. Ferragamo played well, 210 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. Against the Bucs in the NFC Championship game, he was nothing special. 12 of 23 for 163 yards and no touchdowns and no interceptions. But the Rams won 9-0, and that propelled them to the Super Bowl against the Steelers, where he went 15 of 25 for 212 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception, and 4 sacks. The Steelers won that game 31-19, and the Rams were still in need of a high-quality quarterback that could win them the Lombardi Trophy. Please click the like button, leave a comment if you'd like, and as always, thank you for watching.